Hi friends, hope you had a great week. Welcome to this week's ramblings. As always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. This helps me a lot, and let's get started with today's topic. So I wanted to make this video because it's an important subject to me. It's something tough to talk about for me and for many out there. And hopefully my ramblings will get to someone's ears and comfort them in knowing that whatever hardship they're going through, it will get better eventually. Before I start, please know that I am quite vulgar at times, and when I get very emotional about subjects such as the one I will be approaching today, my Eastern European accent might come through, and perhaps I mess up the grammar as well, maybe more than usual. So, if you have sensitive ears, click away and don't tell me I didn't warn you. Also, trigger warning, I will be discussing things about body image and weight and all the nasty stuff that comes with it. So if you're sensitive to these subjects, just skip this video. So, I'm a millennial, one of the generations who had to grow up and deal with some of the worst beauty standards. From the 90s heroin chic to the 2000s extremely low-waist jeans and to then 2010s, the Kardashian curves. During my 30 years of life, I should have been able to obtain at least 3 different body shapes, even when my anatomy just wouldn't allow it. Therefore, guess what? I hated myself. Tremendously so. I hated myself so much that at some point, I truly wished to have some sort of illness which would make me go through chemotherapy, so I could eventually, hopefully, die skinny. And no, this isn't a joke. And no, I'm not taking such severe illness lightly. I was just in so much pain because I wasn't thin enough that I wished to die. Now, let me tell you, I am the fattest I have ever been, but I love myself more than I ever thought possible because I'm finally able to understand that each time I wasn't physically good enough for someone or for some damn clothes, it wasn't ever my fault. But whose fault was it, you may ask? Well, short answer, society's. You know how during your teen years your hormones are absolutely all over the place and you think that everyone else is against you when it's actually not true? No? Anyway. Well, I believe that. I believe that everyone was against me and that everyone was lying to me, but not when it came to my weight. I believed them. I really thought that my body was so damn wrong, so messed up, that people weren't my friends because of how I looked, and that I was fucking everything up for me because I was fat, and that's all it was, and it was my choice. So, you may ask, how did I get to this conclusion? Well, that's easy. After years of being absolutely traumatized by most of the people I met, I was finally able to silence my mind and put some things in order, and you know what? Let's look at when it all began, cause, we're going all the way back to my earliest memories. And oh boy do I have all the traumatic ones still playing so vividly on repeat. So, kindergarten it is, right? Let's make something damn clear. I wasn't a fat child. But I was made to believe I was, simply because I wasn't a picky eater like the other children. So whenever I liked a food, I asked for a second serving. The cooks loved me because I appreciated their efforts and their cooking skills, and that was absolutely adorable if you think about it. But the other children already judged me. They were like, oh, I couldn't eat that much. Half a portion is enough for me. So yeah, they fucking judged me. I was a wee babe and so were they. Yet, they were already taught that being fat is bad. So yeah, yet again, I wasn't fat. What I fucking was tall. And did perhaps have a bigger body frame. But for fuck's sake, I couldn't control the speed at which my body was growing. And I was never the chubby kid looking like the Michelin tire man. Anyway, moving on, me being huge in the first 4 grades was once again determined by the fact that I was fucking tall. Tall and not malnourished. Yes, I wasn't skinny, but a child shouldn't have their ribcage visible in order to be socially accepted as normal. Oh, and I sure as fuck had a goddamn bitch of a teacher who always made sure to put me in the back of the photos on purpose. I always had to stay on my toes to be visible, just a bit. Because I wasn't really that tall, there were taller girls and boys than me, but you would just stick me in the back with the tallest boys and call it a day. Of course, that added to me being seen as big and not ladylike. So moving from there, then elementary school was when I really knew that I was doomed. So for some context, for 3 years of my life I was in a Catholic school because I wanted to study German, and that was the only school somewhat close to me that provided this language. Now, this school itself was all fine and dandy, but the students, they were utter shit. Some rich and mean girls who ruined so much for me, even though I fucking struggle to forget them and the damage they've done. I know it's embarrassing for me, but I still wish nothing good for them. So let me tell you once again, I wasn't overweight. I was very tall compared to most girls and carried most of my weight on my hips. So I didn't look like anyone else. I had big ass, wide hips, and not a completely flat stomach because guess what? Not everyone can have it. I was active and I was eating fine. I was just literally big. I was 5 to 10 centimeters taller, even compared to some boys. My shoulders were 5 to 10 centimeters wider than most of the girls. And everyone insisted that, you're not bigger, your skeleton is the same size as everyone. Very fucking stupid. Anyway, their small brains thought I was fat and gross. They ridiculed me immensely. And fuck, that part of my life was terrible, it was exhausting. And I had to deal with starting puberty, having my hormones go all over the place, being bullied daily, and having to take a major exam before getting into high school. So it was incredibly difficult to deal with all of it. So I started eating sweets to cure my sadness. A lot of them. Of course, that's when I actually started to gain some weight. Obviously, now looking back on the few photos I have left from that period, I still wasn't fat. Not at all. I wasn't even mid-size yet. But fine, I eventually got to high school. Probably the worst 4 years of my life. And if you tell me that you think high school was the best time of your life, then you are a bully. Anyway, again, the beauty trends were in favor of the extremely thin women. And I mean extremely. It was the era of models eating cotton just to stay skinny. And that was the goal. That was the ideal. This was also the period of my life when I started being noticed by men as well. But this is a topic which I might approach at a later date, depending on how much of my life I feel like making public. But men really fucked me over. One thing I will share though is that there were so many of them that said, hey, if you lost like just, 10 pounds, you'd be so hot. To all of the men who ever said that to me. I truly, truly wish that you repatent before you're 40. Now you see, women weren't any better. Once again, my bigger frame comes into play. I was strong and fit as fuck. I could lift all the bitches with ease. I could beat the living shit out of most boys and not waste a drop of sweat. The friendly pat on the back coming from me would bruise most, so once again, I wasn't fat. I was strong, I was fit, but I wasn't fat. Not then. Another issue is that, sure, I was strong, and that was fine. But I was always absolutely incapable of cardio, so the physical ed class was dreadful. It was difficult for me to run for a long period of time. I mean, yeah, sure, I was kind of fast, but that was about it, no one cared about that. And then I also didn't know how to play any sports, like volleyball, handball, or anything else, because, I never had any proper friends to learn with. And the teacher didn't bother teaching us. So when you put all of these things together, the general idea was that I was fat and that's why I couldn't play sports. And yeah, that obviously made me an ideal target for bullying. Now, a small note is that I wasn't bullied exclusively for my size. There were plenty other stupid reasons, which I will tackle at a later point. So yeah, then I got to uni, and that period of my life was actually when I started to properly gain weight. I started drinking, smoking, I stopped exercising, and overall, I stopped caring for my well-being in any way. The thing is that it was one of the most acceptable periods of my life, since not many seemed to care about my size. Again, there were men who felt the need to make comments about my body. But, as I said, that's for another time. Now, here is where my fight with societal standards really began. I became proper mid-size. I had a big ass, thick thighs, and a pretty nice slim waist, and I couldn't really find any more nice and affordable clothes anymore. Everything was incredibly ill-fitting and ugly. So I lost any style I wish I had and lied to myself that I started experimenting, and I was actually just doing what I could with whatever was at my disposal. So I started a 9-to-5 job, and guess what? So over the years I've gotten fatter and fatter due to becoming more sedentary and eating worse. As the years passed by, I realized a few things. No matter how much I weighed, I was never good enough. Men had unreachable standards, women did as well, and also most of my friends were toxic and making things worse. So, you may think, what's the big deal with everything I said? Well, if you've gotten this far and think that not much happened to me, please keep in mind that I recall hate for my body from when I was 5 or 6. So I don't really have happy memories from almost any part of my life. I'm fine with that now, but the thing is that my trauma and sadness are most of what I can recall. And most of the good things have been erased and replaced with all of the vile things people put me through. I was constantly excluded by society regardless of my age, just because my body was slightly different. And I mean slightly. So I can't even imagine what a difficult life a person with a properly different body must be having. Like, people are cruel. Now, one more thing I'd like you to consider is that what I'm making public through this video is just the tip of the iceberg. The full extent of the event is a bit too personal for me to be comfortable sharing, I mean, at least for now. But here are some bonus events and situations that still make me cringe and want to punch someone in the face. I could never share clothes with any of my friends, regardless of my age. They could indeed wear mine, but only as pajamas, since everything was too big for them. And it was such a good laugh for everyone when I would try, let's say, a skirt, and the whole thing would be good just for one of my thighs. Then I vividly remember an occurrence in high school when I did in fact gain the incredible total of 3 kilograms over the course of a spring vacation. And someone, a man of course, had the audacity to notice and said that, "Oh, something's changed about you. You looked better before. I think you gained some weight." Another thing about my body is that I have very thick, wide calves. So men decided to violently compliment me on my thicker than their muscles and insist that I do some sport and that I'm lying to them by saying my shape is in fact natural. There was also this one occurrence when someone, while being in a group of people, decided to measure my calves as compared to everyone else's, men and women, and mine were of course the biggest. I was taught since I was probably 11 to suck in my tummy. This is still something I sometimes do. I forced myself to unlearn this since I found out that it is, in fact, incredibly detrimental to the pelvic floor health. So, thanks society. Oh, they also decided to nickname me Bear in high school. I mean, at least it wasn't Pig, right? Anyway, let's look at the present. What did I do to fix myself? Well, it's simple. I yeeted out of my life everyone who was more worried about my body than my mental health. Yes, I am incredibly alone. I have probably 3 friends, my partner, and my family. But at least there's only my voice now that can criticize me and not thousands of others. I started to consume more body positive focused content and learn more about a healthy lifestyle. I started to learn more about what a normal, non-photoshopped, non-surgically altered body can look like. Especially when the brain leading that body through life is a pretty damn sick one too. Now, circumstances made it so that I was able to become quite active again. I have a pretty well-balanced diet too, and for the most part I can control myself and not hurt my body through binge eating or other unhealthy habits. And last but not least, I started looking at myself in the mirror and actually accepting all my imperfections. My acne scars, my cellulite, my saggy boobs, and my stretch marks, and even my double chin. Everything I see is me, and it's only one. I am the only me. This is the only body I get, and I need to learn to treat it with love. I'm still learning, but it's getting better. Now, if by any chance you found yourself in my stories, I'm sorry, and I truly hope that you're healed, or that you're healing. I know that you are enough and you will always be. Take care of your mind and your body and drop all the toxicity that's holding you back from becoming the best version of yourself, even if that means breaking childhood friendships or even family bonds. No relationship is worth it if you're in constant pain because of it. So go on, adventure into this world. Wear that dress, wear those pants and that crop top that you so love but are afraid to wear because of how people would react. There will always be someone who isn't pleased with you. There is no way to winning everyone's acceptance. All you have to do is learn to accept yourself, to love yourself and take care of your mind and body as you would take care of the person that you love most in this world. Well, heavy one today, wasn't it? As usual, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, a comment and subscribe for more. And of course, if you're interested in purchasing the original artwork that you see me create here, don't hesitate to contact me on any of my social or check my Etsy and see if it's already available there. Now that's all for today. Until next week, stay spooky.